Erskine.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, members of the staff, and public. A number of things I want to cover today, but first I want to start with a special recognition of one of our staff, and I want to ask Sonali Bose, our Director of Finance and Information Technology, to come forward.
Ms. Bose.
Good afternoon, directors. It's with great pleasure that Fred and I give this, and Diana give this award to Nancy. I want to turn this over to Fred, but before I do, I just want to compliment Nancy for her great work, her great attitude, always smiling, and she has one of the toughest jobs. And Fred can talk a little bit more about Nancy. So Nancy, thank you for everything.
Thank you, members of the board, for this opportunity to recognize one of our team members.
Could you give us your name and title,
Oh,
please?
sorry.
Thank
My name is Fred Schouten.
Thank you.
You want me to spell it for you?
No.
Okay.
What division
I'm with FIT Revenue Collections. Since the appointment of Nancy in 2015, she has made a very significant impact on our department. Due to her skills and positive personality, she has changed and created a work environment within our department to where all employees are treated in a respectful manner, but also are held accountable for their actions. Nancy connects with all of her team members on a daily basis and leads with respect. Nancy has also made significant improvements regarding our processes and procedures during a short tenure, which have made the daily operation of her unit run very efficiently. For example, Nancy created and implemented written procedures for our staff on how to handle the various refund inquiries from our customers, assisted in writing cash handling procedures for our staff to follow, and updated numerous operating manuals to meet today's requirements. Nancy always goes out of her way to assist her staff both in the field and in the office. She has trained and guided all of our new employees and make sure they complete all the required tests and certifications prior to be allowed to start work in the field on their own. And finally, she also does an exemplary job leading the Lost and Found department to make sure as many items left behind on our transit system are returned to the respectful owners. Once again, thank you for recognizing Nancy for her efforts. She's a very valuable member of our team and exhibits a great work ethic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Marquez, thank you so much for your service to the SFMTA. When I was reading the description of what you've accomplished in not a very long time at the agency, I was truly impressed. And it looks as if you have a number of colleagues who've come out to support you. If your colleagues could please stand up, we'd like to recognize the fact that you've all taken the time to come down.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, members of the board. My mother and my sister have also come to share this moment with me. It's an honor to receive this recognition from someone that I highly respect as a manager and as a mentor, Fred Schouten. As a native San Franciscan, I am proud to have the opportunity to build a career within our public transportation system. This is my home. I rode the 48 line daily to Abraham Lincoln High School and back into the Mission District. My hardworking warrior mother, like many other residents of San Francisco, discovered her independence riding the Muni lines that take her everywhere. For those reasons and more, I'm inspired and humbled knowing that my contributions are making a difference in our collective work here at the SFMTA. So I'd like to thank the board, Director Erskine, Sonali Bose, and Diana Hammonds for this award. I'm grateful for your dedication, guidance, and support. Thank you also to the best part of my job, which is my team. And lastly, I'd like to accept this recognition on behalf of the beautiful, diverse city of San Francisco that empowers my journey and allows me to stand here today. Also on behalf of my department, Revenue Operations and FIT. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marquez. That was a lovely reminder of who works at our agency and how proud our employees are. So on behalf of the board and indeed the entire city, thank you so much for your work here in the city. And Mr. Schouten, thank you for being such a great mentor to your employees. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, continuing on, a number of not very good things to report to you, but important to raise these and to both you and the public. With regard to Vision Zero, I wanted to call your attention to two hit-and-run fatalities that we saw this month. One of them was at Geary Boulevard and 2nd Avenue, and the second one was at Turk and Taylor in the Tenderloin. And as we know from our commitment to Vision Zero, these fatalities were not only tragic, but they were preventable, as are all traffic collisions. While the city is charged with creating safer streets and educating the public and enforcing the rules of the road, we still need everybody, every single person who's out on the streets, whether driving, walking, riding a bike, riding a scooter, no matter how they're getting around, we need everybody to act responsibly and to conduct themselves safely. Everyone who's on the road needs to be aware, and everyone who's on the road needs to be focused. Operating a vehicle in particular comes with a real responsibility. If you're in a serious collision, you should stay at the scene. It's not just your responsibility and the law, but it's the right thing to do. Hit and run collisions have severe consequences, ranging from suspension or cancellation of a driver's license all the way up to criminal charges and imprisonment, and we don't want anyone to be in that situation. So if you are involved in a hit and run, please turn yourself in. It's better to turn yourself in than essentially remain a suspect at large. And for the public, if you've witnessed a hit and run collision or know someone who was involved in one, please contact the San Francisco Police Department tip line, which is 415-575-4444. I do have a little bit of information. This is just publicly available information about these two collisions. That they are still under investigation, but both did happen on streets and intersections that are part of our high injury network, which, as you know, are the 13% of the streets that are home to 75% of the city's serious and fatal collisions. So the first one at 2nd and Geary in the inner Richmond happened on August 4th. A hit and run on Saturday left a 35-year-old man with life-threatening injuries. He succumbed to those injuries about a week and a half later. Police said that the man was struck while crossing Geary near 2nd at a little after 1 in the morning. This is an intersection that has high visibility crosswalks, traffic signals, and pedestrian countdown signals. The vehicle involved was believed to be a green 4-door vehicle, which allegedly fled eastbound on Geary towards Arguello Boulevard. The police department has not found the hit and run driver and are seeking any witnesses who may have observed this tragic collision. In the Tenderloin, it was a 65-year-old man who was killed on Tuesday, August 14th, a week ago, in a hit and run crash while riding his bike. It happened just before 5:45 p.m. right in the intersection of Turk and Taylor, according to the police. Gregory Blackman, who's from San Francisco, was riding his bike northbound on Taylor when a man allegedly rammed into him while driving westbound on Turk Street. The driver fled the scene but was stopped and arrested a short distance away. The driver had 2 prior drunk driving convictions and was drinking wine while driving shortly before the crash, according to prosecutors and court documents. Michael Smith, age 41, appeared in San Francisco Superior Court on charges including murder, driving under the influence, and hit and run causing serious and permanent injury or death. Just last April, the SFMTA completed several safety improvements to Turk Street between Mason and Polk as part of its Turk Street safety project, including a protected bike lane, the first protected bike lane in the Tenderloin, as well as high visibility crosswalks, painted safety zones, and signal improvements. The agency also has a project underway to improve safety on Taylor Street between Market and Sutter as part of the Safer Taylor Street project. We will be coming to this board this fall for project approvals for a project that will include wider sidewalks, shorter pedestrian crossings, and separated signal phasing for people walking and for turning vehicles. So 2 tragedies, both preventable. Just a reminder of the need for everybody to pay attention and be aware and focus when they're out on the streets. Another tragedy to report, as you all know, because it's been widely reported, but just to give you some more information, on August 10th, the Twin Peaks Tunnel Rehabilitation Project experienced a fatal incident around 5 p.m. when one of the Shimmick construction workers was struck by a falling temporary steel beam that had been erected to support a brick archway. The brick archway is the original portal the 100-year-old tunnel, and there were temporary beams up to support work in order to seismically strengthen it. Patrick Ricketts, who is the Shimmick construction worker, was transported to the San Francisco General Hospital, where he later succumbed to his injuries. We immediately notified our control center and dispatched an emergency crew. The California Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, was also contacted. They came to the site along with the San Francisco Police Department, conducted their investigation, and then returned the site back to the SFMTA and the contractor. We have also conducted our independent review, and with the cooperation of the contractor, have put in place a number of additional safety mitigation steps to make sure that we could safely resume the work, which we did partially on Saturday evening, and then further on the weekend. During the method of procurement for this contractor, we used something called best value procurement and pre-qualification process for the contract. There were 2 safety performance evaluation questions that were included as a pass-fail criteria. The contractor answered satisfactorily in the pre-qualification section under a penalty of perjury clause. At the mayor's good suggestion, the agency has changed its policy and will impose additional requirements and criteria during the bidding process and include safety criteria as well as independent verification of historic safety performance for contractors going forward. Despite the tragedy of this incident, and we have sent our condolences to the family, and I know it's been very difficult on the team. There was a funeral yesterday that many of the members of the construction team as well as our staff attended. I do want to commend the project team for their quick response to the incident and cooperation in making sure that the work was safe and that we could continue. Mr. Ricketts' family, friends, and the entire Shimmick construction family are in our thoughts at this very difficult time. We did provide grief counseling to our employees as Shimmick did for theirs. So with the larger project, for nearly 2 months, we have had the construction underway to replace the rails, replace the drainage system, install a new crossover, which we might call the Malcolm Heineke crossover, as well as do the seismic strengthening that I made reference to. It was a $41 million project on a 2.2 mile long stretch of the tunnel, and that work is nearly complete, and as of today is currently projected to be complete on time. Once reopened, the 80,000 daily riders of the KL&M lines will enjoy smoother and quicker trips. Just to remind you, the work did include new rails, seismic retrofit, new drainage, 4 new track crossovers, fire safety enhancements, and signal improvements. So a fairly comprehensive improvement. Once the tunnel is operational again, there will be, which we expect to be this weekend, we'll confirm that later in the week, there will be 2 planned weekend overnight closures to the West Portal, Forest Hill, Castro, and Church stations to complete the final electrical work. These closures will be at night only when ridership is low. They are not full weekend closures, and I want to thank Director Borden for pointing out that there was some confusing information about these closures. These were planned all along as part of the work, but I think there was confusion about the extent of these closures. They are tentatively scheduled for the weekends of September 8th and 15th, but we will keep the public informed if that changes. What they would do is it would essentially close the subway about an hour early on Friday and Saturday nights, so at midnight instead of 1, and it would open later on Saturday morning and Sunday morning around 8 a.m. But otherwise, it will be full service, and of course, we'll have bus substitution in place during those hours. We did clarify that information that Director Borden made me aware of that went out that caused some confusion. We've sent some subsequent information to clarify that while there will be some work, essentially the main construction work will be complete. The area around the west portal entrance where all the staging has been will be removed. The temporary bus zones will be removed and parking restored. And we're working and continuing to work very closely with the merchants in West Portal, the residents in West Portal, the merchants and residents in Castro, and other areas that were impacted by the temporary bus zone. So knock on wood, we are currently on track to resume normal operations this weekend. There's still a number of check-throughs and walks and final systems and a restoration and startup that will have to happen. And if there's any change in that schedule, I'll certainly let you and we will let the public know. A couple of final things. One of the big ones you've all been hearing about is some music accompaniment are the service delivery challenges that we've been having with Muni in the last few months. That we have not been meeting our Prop E goal of delivering 98.5% of scheduled service for the past 2 months, particularly once the Twin Peaks tunnel construction started. We're down system-wide, we're down in the low 90s, so delivering 92 to 94% of the scheduled service. This is something that's a result of a number of different events coming together, including new light rail vehicles, new operator sign up, and the Twin Peaks tunnel construction, but still all things that we knew about and should have planned better for. And I fully accept responsibility for our not having better anticipated and mitigated the impacts of the Twin Peaks tunnel closure along with these other events. I don't think we could have fully mitigated because there's a limit to how much we can expand and contract our resources, but we certainly could have done a better job. And I know I'm hearing from many riders and experiencing myself that while we are delivering more than 90% of the service, there is crowding and there have been some extended gaps in service and delays for people waiting to get on the bus. So we are very actively and aggressively working to correct that through expanding our training capacity and much more actively managing the service and doing everything we can to get more drivers working, including extending part-time operators to full-time operation to get more service hours available. So we expect, particularly once the Twin Peaks construction ends, again, hopefully this weekend, by next week, the service on the bus system will be significantly improved because it took a lot of buses to compensate for not having that tunnel available. So I think much better service coming very soon, and we will continue to focus on restoring and maintaining for future such issues the service levels that our riders rightly expect. I did also want to note with regard to Muni service that some of the fare changes that you approved as part of the budget will begin on September 1st. And just to remind you, Muni fares are being reduced for 1-day, 3-day, and 7-day passport holders paying with Muni Mobile or a Clipper card starting on September 1st. It's a very deep discount that we're offering, so we're hoping that winds up to be a better choice for more folks. We are also extending transfer times from 90 minutes to 120 minutes. You'll recall that the San Francisco transit riders came forward during the budget process and made this suggestion. You, as the board in turn, directed us to explore implementing it, and it is something that we were able to do and that will be in effect starting also on September 1. So I want to thank the San Francisco transit riders for raising this issue. It's something they heard from a number of riders that 90-minute window was just a little bit too short. So we're excited for the 2-hour window come September 1st. We also just want to remind folks that the free Muni for low and moderate income students, there's not a change to that program, but as school is starting, I want to just remind everyone of the availability of that program. We have tens of thousands of young San Franciscans registered for the program and actively using the program, and we want that to continue. And this is available for low to moderate income city youth between the ages of 5 and 18. And the applications are available through our website or through schools. And then I did want to just show you one thing that we recently launched, which is new mapping technology that is up on our website. It's intended to provide the public with a much easier way to visualize where in the city various agency projects are happening and what they are and what their status is. Right now, we have just a limited set of projects, mostly SFMTA projects. We're going to be working overtime to include more projects happening by other city agencies and to integrate more things happening on our street. So we are looking for feedback on this. We want to give you a little demo of it right now, and we ask that anyone who sees it and has suggestions about how to make it better to email us at projectmap@sfmta.com. So can we get the demo up? And I want to thank the staff members who took on this assignment and really developed a great product. We've been getting some very good feedback on it so far.
Okay. Good afternoon, Director Riskin, Chair Brinkman, and Vice Chair Heineke. My name is Tori Winters, and I'm a transportation planner in Sustainable Streets Planning Group, and I began my time at the agency 2 years ago as an intern. I'm currently the project manager for the Interactive Projects Map, but at the project outset, I was focused primarily on project data development and creating the project data collector tool.
Good afternoon. My name is Steph Nelson. I've worn a number of different hats at MTA over the last 6 years. I currently serve as the GIS administrator and developer. I worked closely with Tori and our team to build this interactive projects map and to configure the IT infrastructure behind it and direct the data development work. A few years ago, actually just 1 year ago, a few of us identified the need to centralize project data at SFMTA, and we started doing a lot of the legwork. Shortly thereafter, we learned that this was a priority for the leadership of the agency as well, which allowed us to convene an excellent team of folks from our planning section, our communications section, and our IT section. And I'd like to recognize a number of those people who are in the room today. We have Chaz Belov, who's our webmaster for SFMTA, Dovid Copeland, our digital communications coordinator, Jesse Schofield, transportation planner with our communications team, Anna Harkman, who was the original project manager. She has since moved on to Public Works, but she did join us today. And then also dozens of staff members who regularly update their project data on the SFMTA website and through the data collection tool.
When we began this project, we sought to create a solution that would help us provide up-to-date project information to the public, to our leadership, as well as to our coworkers. As a large agency of roughly 5,000 people, it can be hard to understand the full universe of projects that are in each of the corners of the agency. On a more personal note, one of the reasons that I'm excited to bring this project to you today is because I'm passionate about how maps can transcend language barriers and help us facilitate some of those crucial conversations with the diverse populations of San Francisco.
Similarly, I've always had a passion for empowering people to hold government and private institutions accountable, and I consider maps to be a really powerful tool to do that. My first career I was trained as and worked as a community organizer, so this is a kind of a marriage of a couple of my passions. So without further ado, we're going to run the video and narrate a couple of things along the way. So with the Interactive Projects Map, users can query projects through a variety of ways. For example, you can click by supervisor district, and you can see here that District 6, where we are right now, has 78 projects within a 250-foot buffer. And you can view projects on the map, but also in the information panel to the right. This interactive project map allows people also to further identify specific projects within that cluster by clicking on the title. And users can navigate to the project webpage on which we have an inset map that isolates a given project extent. Users can click back to the citywide map and search by name or keyword within the project description. For example, 7th Street and 8th Street near-term safety project. Users can also search by project mode or type. So we have currently displayed 52 Vision Zero projects on the map. And last but certainly not least, users can of course click on the map directly to view more information about a given project.
And so what you just saw is the result of a automated merge process that gathers data from our agency website as well as our internal collector tool. So when changes are made to the project page on the website, changes are also made on the map itself. While the map does contain a lot of information, the map was not initially designed to contain live traffic data, reroutes, or temporary road closures, or data from our other sister agencies. We want to thank you for your time today and allowing us to bring this project to you. We look forward to continuing to make improvements to the interactive project map. And if you have specific questions, comments, or would like to participate in our survey, please do reach out to the project team at projectmap@sfmta.com.
Thank you so much, Ms. Winders and Ms. Nelson. That's really a fantastic way for people to be able to see what's going on in the city, and thank the rest of your team for all the work that you're doing on that. I agree with you. I think that's a great way to sort of transcend language barriers and understanding barriers. That's what people want to know is what's going on in my neighborhood. What is that project I'm seeing? Where is that project in the workflow? So thank you very much.
And I know there's been a long report, but just to close, I know this has been a rough couple of weeks and months for the agency. I want to acknowledge that there's been a lot of frustration out there in the community from our riders and from others on a number of different fronts. I don't want, though, the board and the public to lose sight of the fact that there are thousands of SFMTA employees, you've seen a couple of them today, who really come to work every day fully committed and dedicated to making transportation in this city work better. So to the extent that we've not done as good a job as we have needed to, that's my responsibility, but there's thousands of people working hard every day, whether they're operators or custodians or planners or accountants, working really hard to make transportation better for people in San Francisco. So we will redouble our efforts to be minimizing those frustrations and to be better serving the people of the city. But I just want to point out the fact that there's a lot of people who are working hard every day to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Riskin. We did get a good taste of some of our employees here today, and I'll just echo that. I'm aware of the dedication of all of the members of the agency, so thank you for reminding us of that.